Tuesday, October 1st, 2019, and today we're going to be talking all about dealing versus healing, the minority mental health crisis that we are experiencing right now in our community. I am joined with my lovely guest, Ms. Ashley Woods. So she's an author, entrepreneur, she owns several businesses, and she has a new book coming out. So she's here to tell us all about the book and all about her mental health experience. So what's up, Cash?
I got it.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. I got a new mental health book called She's Ill that's releasing October the 6th.
Oh.
I'm super excited about that. I'm having a book signing. It's
Okay.
going to be at the Philadelphia Shade Room.
Okay.
234 South 60th Street, 2 to 6. All welcome to come. I own Beyond Beauty Boutique. That's like a mobilized hair store. So
Okay.
I go to the barbershops and the salons, see what they need. I come weekly, bi-weekly. Right now I'm starting off in the West Philadelphia area, working my way to Germantown.
Okay.
Had to put things on hold a little bit because I just recently, my father just passed 3 weeks ago. So
Okay.
I'll be back up and running with that business in about the second, third week of October. But
Okay.
I'm excited about, I'm excited to be on the show, so thank you for having me.
Thank you for being
It's
here.
been a long time
I
coming.
know, I've been trying to get with you
I know.
forever. Like,
I know, so.
I've been stalking her out for like 2 years, guys.
No.
She wasn't trying to fuck with me too early.
No.
Like, we're gonna let her go here and get some practice. She wanted to make sure Talk to Me Tuesday was gonna be around. She don't know we in our third year, season 7, okay? Period.
No, I was a little shy, but, you know, timing works out because
Right.
I decided to come out with the mental health book, which was a hard thing for me to do because I'm revealing to the world some of my secrets and things that I went through, but it was a healing process writing the book.
That's right.
And I want to help others be more accepting of who they are, whatever conditions they have. You can live with them and you can still prosper and do great things. So that's why the title of the book is She's Ill. Because I'm ill in real life. I do have PTSD, but I'm ill because I'm dope as hell.
Period.
And
Yes.
so you can be both things.
You can, definitely. So yeah, so tell me a little bit more about the book. I know you have the book signing coming up. I'm really excited about that. So of course you guys make sure y'all go check it out. Make sure y'all go to the book signing, cop the book. Where's it gonna be? Like Amazon, everywhere?
It's going to be on Amazon as of October 7th. You'll be able to go on Amazon and get the book.
And she's gonna have copies too.
Yeah.
So tell us, elaborate a little bit on the book, and just basically on your mental health journey, because I know that you're saying you wrote the book more so through your healing process. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you know, I was in the military.
Okay.
And when you tell people that you have PTSD, they automatically think it's something from the military, which my trauma started when I was younger,
Okay.
6 years old. And I come out very strong in my book. I hold no punches. And the first chapter is my sister tried to kill me. And that was at 6 years old. Some things took place, and thank God for my mother. She saved me. But my sister suffered from schizophrenia.
Okay.
And back then, just push it under the rug.
Yeah.
And that's how I go. You push things under the rug, and you just deal with it accordingly. And
Ain't nobody dealing with this shit properly.
So
healing correct.
The black family wants to be strong. We already went through the slavery, we went through depression, we went through all these things, and you tell them, be strong, be strong. So mental illness kind of look at it as a weakness.
Yeah.
They don't want to ask the doctor for help.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm not putting my child on no crazy medication and things like that. So the book is just my journey. The traumas that happened prior to me going into the military.
Okay.
And the military kind of just made it worse because I went to the military to run away from my problems. Because I signed up when I was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
In 12th grade.
Okay.
So I wanted to get away from Philadelphia. But one of the messages I put in my book that I tell everybody, you cannot outrun your outcome. That's one of my most powerful things that's in my book. You cannot outrun your outcome. And even though I went to the military and tried to put a lot of things on the back burner, let me start this new life, the dreams, the trauma, and the triggers happen. So it took me to 2017 to fully accept that I had a condition. I got diagnosed in 2012, and I wasn't accepting of it. I'm like, I got a great job overseas. I'm making money. I got whatever. But buying clothes, material items, none of that doesn't change your mental status.
That's right.
It's a cover-up. So you're trying to make people like you because you're trying to fit in with everybody else, but you internally you're hurting, in the inside. And I'm hiding from a lot of things because I don't want people to be like, oh, she crazy, something wrong with her.
Because of that stigma that's been so, we have those stigmas, like you said, in the Black community, and that's why I wanted to highlight today's show about the minority mental health crisis, because it is a us thing. We cover shit up, we don't deal with things properly, and it's just like, no, I got it, or like you said, oh, I'm not taking my kids to see the doctor, or we're not getting on medication, and you become an adult, and
I tell people this one thing. How many of y'all seen Soul Food, right?
Mm-hmm. Soul Food, yeah.
That's the best description of mental health. The uncle that they keep upstairs in the back room. He seemed a little off. They ain't bother with him. Leave him alone. Push him to the side. And that's how, for me, how black people in society treat mental health. We gonna push it to the side. You got that aunt over there. She a little off. Don't mind auntie. She a little off. But some people need help. Some medication, some not. Because I was prescribed medication, but I don't take it. So I have to be very aggressive in therapeutic things. Going to therapy. I like to write. Writing helps me, get over things. I don't want to discourage anybody that needs to take medication to take it. It's because what I've seen it do to my sister makes me afraid. She's so dependent on it, she can't live without it. Wow. And if certain things changes in her, sometimes the medicine got to be recalibrated, and then she's a different person. And I just was too scared to be dependent on that, which causes some self-inflicted wounds because when I need to be calm, I'm not calm. And I always wanted to say this to people that have dealt with me, whether it was friends, ex-lovers. I apologize because I have extreme mood swings and changes, and I know some people didn't get me, and it wasn't their responsibility to understand what I was going through, because I didn't understand what I was going through. That's so on this show, I do want to make a public apology for anybody that I might have hurt in the past, because I didn't know how to accept my condition. So I'm coming full circle now, so I do apologize. A lot of things I did intentional to push people away.
Yeah.
When you're broken, you attract broken people. I didn't want to be around people that had they shit together, because I was scared that they would see me for who I am and not like me. So I'm thinking I'll deal with another broken person. We can fix each other, but
that don't work either.
Two crackheads can't get. I'm just saying.
Realistically speaking,
two crackheads can't get on the track together. Right. So two broken people can't fix each other. So I made my mistakes.
That's real heavy. That was big of you too. That was big of you, and I think that was very important. And I'm honored for you to have done that on this show. But it is important that we don't take inventory of all that. It's just like you're at a state of healing right now. It's just like, okay, I've gone through what I've gone through. I've accepted where I was, or the things that I have done, and now I'm willing to make that public apology to understand that I have fucked over some people. And so often, number one, we either don't deal at all, and most people definitely don't heal, but then that acknowledgement of the people that you hurt along the way, that's a step that a lot of people don't take, from fear, embarrassment, ego. It's just like, oh, now I'm fixed, and whatever happened before in my past life just doesn't exist. So that was a really good point. It was something else you said about, I know that you mentioned your other ways of, your other therapeutic experiences, things that you try to do opposed to taking the medicine. Because again, like you said, not everybody cannot take medicine, but how have you been coping? If I know you right, clearly we got this dope book out. What are some other things that you, along your journey, have done to just kind of help you cope, whether it's a moment of anxiousness or, when your mood swings or whatever?
Traveling helps.
Okay.
I was in Afghanistan as a civilian contractor for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And, of course, when they called for the job and they wanted to give me $140,000, I was like, period, I'm going.
I'll be there.
But it was a reason they give you that, because I'm ducking bombs every day. And I don't have a gun strapped to me like I would have when I was in the military. So you know, my first day on the job, 7 bombs hit the ground. I had to think.
Shit. But what does that job consist of? What do you do?
No, I was a generator mechanic, so I basically provided the electric for the base.
Oh.
Because they didn't have like regular PICO and things like that. But you're in harm's way every day. And you work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. When you get a day off is when you go on vacation. You have to sit put for at least 4 months before you even think about going on vacation. So just imagine 2.5 years of always working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day.
And already having some issues.
Yeah, and I know I had those issues. So I went, just like how the Afghanistans had bombs and artillery, I was loaded too because I was there untreated mental health. But I used like going on trips like Thailand, Africa, and things like that. That, you know, that helped me. Traveling helps me change the scenery.
I was gonna say change the scenery.
Even if it's a hotel, and you put your phone away and you get away from everybody. Because I learned when you have too many people assessing you, and you can't really like bring yourself down, calm yourself down. It, you know. I like to.
Sheesh, I can write that down. Seriously, because I've experienced that. Like, even, you know, and I haven't been diagnosed with any mental health illnesses. However,
you know, depression,
yeah,
stress.
I have been stressed. I have been depressed, and the change of scenery works for me. Because even if I'm in my room, I'm like, I'll just look around like this shit is a mess, like it's all junky or whatever. But then it's like I had times where I threw all my covers in the trash. I need to buy some pink covers. I need to see some flowers around me because it does, your environment does make a difference. And when you add the people that are around you, whether, you know, they're there with good intentions or not. Because some people, when their good intentions is too overpowering. It's like, I'm not really for that right now.
Yeah, it's a balance between you have people that, like, you'll be mad if you feel like somebody you love don't care. But then you'll be a little irked if somebody like, what's wrong with you, girl? What's wrong with you, girl? It's a balance.
Like,
so you got to find a balance. So when I go on trips out of the country, it's more so to get back of being humble. Because when you see how other people live and how happy they are with what they have, you embrace a little bit more what you have. Okay. So when I seen, you know, Kenya, it helped me come back to reality of like how much I have to be thankful for. Right. Like these people are making like $4 or $5 an hour. They're not complaining. They're happy. There are smiles on their face. Yeah. And when I went to Thailand, it's just you give them people $1. It was just like they was overwhelmed with joy. And we value so many of the wrong things, and we just don't take consideration. So humbleness sometimes has helped my mental health to just allow myself to go places, whether it's around other people. Your environment plays a big part, and like who you surround yourself with plays a big part. If you're around people that's constantly just pulling from you, you pouring in their cup and they just taking and taking and taking, it'll drain the shit out of you. It has drained me to the point where I almost committed suicide.
I'm thirsty right
now. So I almost committed suicide because I let too many people take from me. And sometimes it was just me being angry at certain things, and they had power. But when you give people power, they still take it from you. So I don't know. You didn't know. You didn't know.
I did. I told her I've been stalking her forever. She just
reminded me from dancing in the club, but I got a little head on my shoulder.
Of course, I knew it was in there. And I'm just so glad that you decided to come to share, you know, share the information, and you know, you dropped some definite jewels because it's easier when, you know, somebody that hasn't been through some of these things. Like even with myself, like I posted one mental health event, but I've never, like I said, been diagnosed with anything. So some of those aspects you just don't know. So to hear that firsthand experience, it always helps. And then like your book sounds like it's gonna be so groundbreaking and powerful to assist so many people. So let everybody know where we can find the book, like we're gonna get it. Well, I'm just excited, or at least tell them about the thing.
Right now, just
not the green.
You can go on my Instagram, Ash_215_. I have an Eventbrite link. You can, if you can't make it to the event, you can purchase just a mail copy. It will get mailed to you the day after the event. If not, come to the event and you can party and celebrate. We're going to have food, drink. I'm signing it personally. Signing it. It's going to be a nice environment. This Sunday at the Philadelphia Shade Room at 234 South 60th Street.
Okay.
And it's going to be hosted by Natalie, the business doctor. I'm going to have the Great University speaking.
Just here last week.
I'm going to have Sade, the financial stylist,
Okay.
and my therapist, Imani. She's actually going to be speaking. I'm giving over about $500 to $600 in giveaways. I actually giving away some bundles. I know how girls feel about their hair. So I got some top city hair bundles that's definitely going to be that. So and it's an opportunity for everybody to mix and mingle with other people. So it is about me and my book, but it's also about just connecting different people and, you know, different aspects of life. You never know who you're going to come across and meet and who you can benefit from and they can benefit from you.
This is true.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Okay, I'm off the Ashley Woods. Make sure y'all tune in to Talk to Me Tuesdays with Just
We're going to bring our next guest on. We have a professional to come in and give us more information. Miss Sierra Miss Sierra F. Right, I'm going to let you introduce yourself. Mad abbreviation. Hello, beautiful. You look awesome. I'm loving the colors. You give me so much light.
Man, listen, I had to hit my fall colors.
It's all right. You look beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming. Give the people your correct name because I don't know.
Sierra F. Wrightley. That is my new name.
Your new name? Recently married?
Married.
Congratulations. Yes, Black Love. Period.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll start with, because you are the professional here. So what is your official title or degree or however?
I was like, that's a better question because the title's a little weird right now. So I have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's degree in clinical counseling psychology.
Okay. So you've dealt with?
My preferred demographic is children, adolescents, families. I've seen everybody from age 3 to 28 as official clients or official. I don't really like the word clients. They're my people.
Right.
You know, and their parents. So everybody, really.
So you go with us and our family.
Absolutely.
Dynamic. So I know that Ash mentioned earlier, you know, with the trauma starting so young. So with you treating those adolescent children, like what are some of the issues that you have come across as a professional? You know, just tying into the topic dealing versus healing and how our people are not properly being taken care of.
Oh my goodness. It runs the gamut. Like I said, 3 years old, you know, so I have parents that have come in with 2-year-olds that they're like, hey, they don't listen, what do I do? And depending on where I am, where I work, the child can be seen, can be evaluated, or if we are following our rules and doing what we're supposed to do, then we'll say, you know, we don't really evaluate children under the age of 3.
Okay.
Which makes sense to me. I've seen a lot of ADHD, a lot of ODD, and I thank God for a supervisor that I had that would not allow us to, in doing assessments, to ascribe ADHD to a child. Wow. She said, ask more questions. If your initial thought is ADHD, if it's ODD, if it's, God forbid, conduct disorder, ask more questions.
And can you just, I don't want to cut you off, but just for people watching that may not be familiar with the abbreviations. Yeah. Like, I think I know most of them, you know, I got my ABCs down. Yes. But just, you know, just to kind of bring it on.
Okay, right? So ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which some of the common symptoms are children not being able to focus, having trouble sitting down, sitting still. That's pretty much that. ODD is oppositional defiant disorder. So that looks like children not doing what you say no matter what. If you say go left, they're going right. It just is. And that's what they do. Conduct disorder is a little bit worse. And I personally try not to prescribe that to kids because I found that it follows children. It follows people. So conduct disorder is it's like oppositional defiant disorder times 10. They're, you know, aggressive, physically aggressive, verbally aggressive. They have trouble listening. They don't follow instructions. They may hurt animals. They may, you know, play with fire, set fires. things of that nature. So that kind of defines conduct disorder.
Okay.
And those names have changed because of the diagnostic manual, but these are the old names. These are the regular names that people know.
Okay. So these are names that some of y'all might be familiar with.
Yeah.
Somebody might have been told that their kid has ADHD, and I know ADD. I know that one too.
Yeah, I think I had the O something.
The O one. The O one. Give me the O one. I think I got the O one. Yeah, I was thinking. I'm like, I thought I had ADHD, but go ahead. Just go ahead.
I'll tell you right now.
We can do a little after evaluation. She might get me in the corner real quick.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, so those are some of the common diagnoses that I see. A lot of children, a lot of families, and I started my career in Philadelphia. I currently work in New Jersey.
Okay.
In a crisis response, on a crisis response team. So it's a little different. When I was here, I was doing like outpatient, so I saw families face to face.
Okay.
And I also worked in the school system, so I had my dedicated kids that I saw every single day, pretty much. So within that, I've seen families that know the system and really just know it because they've been through it. And so sometimes it's hard to gain their trust, and to really express how much one cares, how much I care.
Okay, I follow.
And you can't be in this work if you're not passionate about it.
So when you say families that know the system, are you saying like they've had bad experience, or people just trying to misdiagnose?
Mostly bad experiences. So they kind of come in with preconceived notions. Like, I am not the first therapist. I'm usually the 5th, the 7th, the 10th. And we all, even though we have different names and different things that we do, I was known as the social worker. I'm not a social worker in the school. I worked and had a social worker, so I made sure not only to really explain those things to parents, because I know that the letters and the terminology and the degrees and everything get very confusing.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that. I want them to understand so that they can be powerful and to advocate for themselves and their children. And I make it very clear that just the way that the system is going, services are very short term. So I won't be here forever, but I want you to have the skills that you need.
So moving forward.
Absolutely. I had a parent a while ago that I said to her, my goal is for you not to be here forever. And she told me she'd never had anybody say that to her.
Wow.
Years of having her child in therapy, taking medication, she never had a professional or anyone say that.
That's very fucked up. And that's what I mean by the mental health crisis, because then you have people that do take that initiative and try to go and seek that help, and then just like even Ash mentioned, that dependency factor. It's like, okay, this is not, I don't feel like it's healing. Now, granted, I've never seen a therapist, which is why I did this show, because I consider myself biased at this point. When I thought I needed to go to therapy, I'm like, no. I had that preconceived notion. I'm not going
to say the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not going to therapy. I'm okay. My mom was like, you should probably go, and I'm like.
But it's probably because of what we see on TV. When we was younger, it was just like, oh man, I'm sitting on the couch talking to a stranger.
Yeah.
But I love that stranger. Because they just objective to the whole world.
Right.
You talk to people every day and utilize people that you love as therapists. You already talk to people every day as a therapist. But they're biased and they're not objective as they need to be.
Yeah.
So when you sit across from somebody who is, now all of them not great. All of them not great. But
that's the gag.
Yeah. So
it's just like, oh, we don't take your insurance. Thank you.
Not even that. Sometimes you just don't vibe with people.
Yeah.
And I tell my folks that from the jump, like, feel free, because we are taught, we should be taught. I went to a good school, but I've seen some things. People that I question.
And that's who this show is for, because we haven't all been taught.
Yeah.
We haven't
about the professionals.
The
colleagues, the coworkers, the people. I'm like, how did you graduate?
They just giving these degrees out.
Yeah.
We have a comment.
Oh.
Misha Memorable Moments said, just hearing that gives hope. When the child is first diagnosed, it's shell-shocking.
It is. It absolutely is. And I would hope that more professionals would recognize that, would understand that that's a trauma in itself.
Yeah.
And to instill hope. That's something that we've been taught, or I've been taught. I guess I can't say we, but
that's a part of the curriculum.
Yes,
should be.
It's to instill hope. You know, people don't understand. I think, and they have trouble seeing that folks come to us when they're devoid of hope. When this is the last straw.
Yeah.
You know, I've been hurting for a long time. Like just going
Yeah,
to a regular doctor. I'm gonna wait 2 weeks to see if this clear up, and then you know, if it don't, then maybe I'm gonna go.
Right.
I think I'm gonna go to urgent care.
The approach means a lot. You tell somebody that, oh, your child has this, and you just like, your child has this, and I recommend this medication, and you go here. It's just like, what? But you be like, listen, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I got you through this. You can still be amazing. You can still do good things. You show them examples, and you be like, you gotta give people confidence that this is a hurdle and you can overcome it. Not it's the end of the world.
And
take this.
You're on your own. Sorry to hear that.
Go ahead, this will calm your nerves.
And you're gonna
feel it, and now you sitting up there just you and the child hide off about you. I'm just saying.
Okay. I never tried Valium. I'm not sure of the effects.
I'm not recommending that y'all go out and try it, but I'm just saying that the approach means something. Yeah. I like my therapist to be real and rugged and to you know.
I don't know no other way, so I understand that.
But if you sitting across from me looking like you got your life together and just telling me like, look, Ashley, this is the task that you need to do to get here.
Exactly.
I'm looking at you like,
bitch,
don't know. Okay, no, I'm not talking. Get Susie out of here. Like, so mine's cursed. She like, Ash, you gotta get it together. I'm not going for this. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna go get it together.
That's what you need.
So, you need that.
And that's why I was so, excited to get you on, because a lot of people, again, don't have that person sitting across from them that looks like them. That they feel like can identify with what they know. Or, just those small aspects. Like, I know for a fact there are not a lot of African American or minority therapists. Not as much as there should be, versus it's not enough to cater to all the people that need them.
What I'll say, because I had a similar experience in school, I wanted to know where all my people was. I went to Rutgers Newark for undergrad. Okay. They have been voted the most diverse campus in the country for years in a row, more than a decade. So I'm seeing all my people. Like, there was definitely different cliques and stuff with the nationalities, but I saw my people every day. I went to LaSalle for grad school, and I was like, where's the look at what I found out is that they are marriage and family therapists. And I just didn't know the difference. I didn't realize what the benefits were. I think had I known, I might have chose a different track. I might have chose marriage and family, and just kind of, because I ended up taking those classes anyway because I wanted to work with kids and families. I just naively was like, I just want to work with kids. I don't got to talk to the adults. Right? No.
I don't want to deal with the grown-ups. Let's just play with the kids.
I tell you no lie. That's my life. But
I'm opposite. I don't like kids.
Well, I love the babies. I'm quick to get on the floor and play. And, quick.
Oh, don't judge me. Don't judge me. Anybody that knows me knows I'm not a fan of children. I'm not going to say I hate kids. I'm just not a fan of smaller people.
I enjoy smaller people.
We had another comment from Misha. She said, She said her son's treatment was delayed because she felt like she had to educate herself. The school staff at the school just wanted him out of the school.
Yep. I've been in that experience. Now that experience I've had
so many times.
Like, he got to go.
What about the one-on-one? I see that a lot because I was substitute teaching. And I see the one-on-ones is really.
They're like PCAs. Okay. They're different, and
So what does that mean? Come on, tell us what y'all talking about.
Because
they talk about stuff I don't know. That's why I bring people that know.
I'm gonna be very honest. I forgot what a PCA stands for.
So what is a TS? What do they do?
Therapeutic school support, and so they are given a specific number of hours. I know one of my friends that works in the TSS is watching. She gonna get me if I don't get it right. They are given a specific number of hours from their agency or whoever they work with, and those are the hours that they can spend with the kid. of the child, but they are a little more flexible. They can have home hours and school hours, which I think is really helpful. And then we have sometimes behavioral health workers. So in the program I worked with in the school, I was a lead clinician. We had behavioral health workers on the team. They only had school hours.
Okay.
And that's not to diminish what they had, because they did wonderful work.
Because I know people that have done all those jobs. So to be a TS worker or whatever like that, so does the kid already have to be diagnosed? Like in this person's case, she's referencing that her child was basically about to get kicked out of school, if I'm guessing. That's how, because they do that. They like, this little motherfucker got done.
So if they are, there's a couple different ways. The short answer is yes.
Okay.
But how do we get there, right? Sometimes the child will be in an outpatient program, or the school will say, we need proof that they're getting help. Or on another note, sometimes the school, and I've seen this a lot in Philadelphia, will have contracted agencies, will have those supports for families, and help them to get an evaluation. The school I work with, I think, might have been pretty different in that they had a psychologist on staff.
Okay.
There was a school.
Not at the public schools.
There was a school social worker, and then I was actually a. Oh my goodness! I didn't work for the school. I was contracted for the therapeutic team that was contracted in the school. So I didn't work for them either. I worked for a staffing agency.
Period.
So
you just came in here and gave them all your love.
Basically.
Okay.
All my love and all my life and my money.
That's why I get little kids, because they will give me $1.
Well, not that, because that definitely no. We didn't do that. But we have to build the program.
Yeah.
When I walked in, the kids hated the program that I worked in. They hated it. They had to come to group, and it's group is in group therapy.
Were they just resistant of it, or
they were resistant to it? Some of the kids have been in the program for a few years, and so this particular group therapy was separated by age. So it was K to 2, 3 to 5, and 6 to 8. 6th grade to 8th grade. And it happened during the fun times because we're still in school, so we have to grab them when they're not in class. And when they're not in class, they're in gym, they're in lunch, they're in recess.
Oh, yeah, I would have handed it to them.
Right, so we had to kind of.
But even that, so this is what I mean about all the fuckery and trickery. Like, if these kids really need help, why is the help posed as the worst time that I want to go and get help? I want to play with my, so it's not even appealing to me to come and get.
You got to come after school.
It's just like, well, Dad, take me out of math class. So I don't want to not go to recess.
They can't count.
I just feel like
when they tried it,
when you say that,
we worked that in there. Though we worked that in there. If I know that you struggle, like two different things. If I know that you struggle hard in math class, maybe I'll ask the behavioral health worker to support you extra. Now you can show off because you got somebody.
Right.
Depending on the age, because the older kids, they didn't want nobody in class with them. But the younger ones, they enjoyed having someone, and and I think deep down inside it was like, I have help now. Like I'm protected too. Yeah. Sometimes it's like the teacher's picking on me. And sometimes that was the thing where a loud noise would happen, the teacher looks at the kid that's in our program. We've had that.
I can imagine, because like I said, I've had that experience as far as the schooling aspect, where now your kid, and you mentioned something earlier where you said one of the diagnoses like follows the kid around.
A lot of them do.
And that's really a thing, like you, especially that ADHD, like my oldest son, he hasn't been diagnosed with any of that, but like when you're the bad kid, it's just like you're the bad kid everywhere.
And
like
teachers talk, and that's not anything against teachers, because I've met some excellent educators in that school, but then there were just some that, I love the kids, right? I love the kids, so I'm always like, what the teacher do? Whatever. Always holding the kid accountable, but understanding, right? And so what I learned in that school system was also to understand the teacher as a person, right? And what they had to deal with, and then to understand kind of the hierarchy and the supports or the lack of support that they had as well. And so that was really, I had I think a unique perspective in that position. To be the eyes everywhere, but not be a part of the school. So it was difficult, but I could see. Yeah, I could see everything. So it took me probably a year and a half or two to get to really understand how the school worked, and that the teachers, some of them, a lot of them, were not just being mean. It was just frustration from, I've been going to my boss, I've been going to my superior. The dean is tired of coming to my classroom. The dean doesn't even answer me when I call anymore. You know, and sometimes it was legitimate. Sometimes the dean, and I had the dean's ear, so they better not coming down there, man. You know, they do stuff like that. And sometimes it was legit, or sometimes it was, you probably should go. Like, right now.
Go and handle that.
Yeah. So it just was a really unique perspective to be able to kind of see and understand all that. And it helped me not be crazy too.
I was going to say, so have you had your own, like, I know you had that professional experience, but have you had your own, like, personal, you know, journey through mental health? Have you ever, you know, we've all, of course, been stressed or depressed, or, well, not all of us, I guess, but, you know, I know that you use as, like, a therapeutic way.
So there's a lot going on. So when I first started, I was and still am, to some degree, a bleeding heart for my people.
Okay.
You know, and it was very hard to see children and to treat children and to see families and hear families and just hear the stuff that people do to kids. You know, and then to have the perspective to be able to process that stuff. And I want to tell you, I love my kids. I love my kids. And I would bring it home and think about it. Or when I had teenagers, they text me, Miss Kara, and I'm 11 o'clock, I'm texting them. Those are poor boundaries.
Yeah.
That is not something I should be doing. And it took me a very long time to recognize it, to understand it, and to not feel like I was leaving them. I'm about to see you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Like, you'll be able, you know. And you were fine before me. Like, those are things that I had great supervisors to teach me that.
Okay.
And I had to see it, and I had to learn it. I had to be a little crazy for a little while. You know, I had to just have super bad boundaries. And I feel like that just is what happens. You have to just develop it over time. You know, and I say it. I hope that people understand what I'm about to say, is that you have to care without caring. And I tell the people, I'm a supervisor now, so I'm telling the people on my team the same thing. And they kind of laugh because I'm a little sarcastic all day long. But that's exactly what it is. You really cannot work harder than the families that you're serving.
Now,
you can't be willing to do more.
You're the professional, so I'm going to give you a devil's advocate.
All right.
Because I'm the person that has the illness. Sometimes, you know, when these kids, or if I'm reaching out to somebody and it seems like a little bit too much, and you like, you'll be fine. It's sometimes just that feeling, knowing like they want to respond, or they're going to be there because they don't feel it at home.
So when they,
I mean, it is a dependency, but it's a fine line because you don't know what rope somebody is going down. You never know. So it's just like sometimes somebody might be just reaching out to you and just want to know like you're there, you're going to text back. But it's hard because you don't know when you're in. You know what you know, but eternally, like I've known that I've reached out to people, or I made myself around other people for like a security blanket reason. So if I'm doing it as an adult, you know, a kid is going to do it unconsciously. So it's like, it's tricky. Like, mental health is really tricky because you want to set the boundaries. But you also, you don't want to have that situation, you wake up and on no-go zone, you see that a child has committed suicide because they're eternally going through other things. It's just, that's why the family needs to all be educated. It can't be the parent just saying, hey, fix my child. Even like with me, and if I'm in a relationship, my partner, if you want some type of longevity with me, you need to know what I'm dealing with, what's going on with it. That really scares me when somebody is not interested in my sickness. It's just like if you had sickle cell, I'm going to read up on it and try to figure you out. So when you gotta also be conscious about that, like, is the family doing their part to understand the child, what they're going through, and things like that. So people don't educate themselves. They want doctors and therapists to do all the fixing. And I feel sorry because y'all just in a tight situation because when people do care, it's overwhelming. It's very
it can be. And I'll speak to two of the things you said. In terms of like wanting someone to text back, right? I think that is a part of building good rapport with the person that you're working with. So my goal, and we've been taught again to, you gotta really fast, especially outpatient, because you don't know if people are coming back. Especially in community mental health and community outpatient, where insurance is paying for the service, or the person is not mandated to come, but they kind of have to come. You know what I mean? So there's that. I gotta get in there fast. And it's not a rush, it's more of a, I personally, I'm only speaking to me and how I do my clinical work. I want you to know that the moment you walked in my door, I loved you and I cared about you and I value you. No matter what you're about to tell me, no matter what I saw in your chart or whatever it is. You know, I don't even like to really read the chart before I get to the person. You know, and I've had that conversation with a lot of my teenagers where they go, well, can't you see what's there? Yeah, I can, and yeah, I did. And you want to see it? I'd rather you tell me. I want to hear from your own words, and that's the way to build rapport, so that you already know that I care from the door. I'm not going to say, oh, well, at so-and-so age you did this, that, and the third, because that's what it says. And also as a professional, I'm very aware of how we need to write things up, how we need to phrase our clinical notes. You know what I mean? And that's not to say we're making things up, but it's just the language is a little different, so things just sound so much worse sometimes. They can.
I need more therapists like you.
I mean, clearly do.
Listen,
clearly
everybody
do.
trying to have workshops and facilitations available.
Period.
Maybe we
We gonna have a workshop. How about that? We on it.
Maybe we could put something together.
Y'all know I don't be plotting. I be plotting. I'm getting them all right in my pocket.
Yeah, let's see, Erin Lee, therapist extraordinaire, also an artist and creator. You can find me at In My Bubble Arts on Instagram and Facebook, InMyBubble_ARTS, and make sure to check out Talk to Me Tuesdays live at 9 p.m. on Instagram Live and Facebook Live, y'all.
But we have our next amazing guest coming up. This was tell us about bubble opportunity. Can we bring in Miss Esir? Yes, y'all cozy over there. I'm good. Everybody got a couple of things.
Patron.
Period. Okay. With a little lime.
That's what I like about this is 3 low cuts. That's all I like.
Just put on my waist like these little curls.
It's just, you know, I feel the low cut movement in here.
Yeah,
I feel
for sure.
I'm not displaying mine until Sunday. Mine's a little rough.
You getting a fresh cut.
Yes.
I know how that goes.
Fresh on.
Well, welcome, love.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thank you for being here.
Look at you, got me blushing. Let's see. Before we get into the actual segment, because this topic in general is very important, I just want to sing a little snippet of something. I'm thinking, birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know what I mean. Freedom is mine, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, and I'm feeling good.
Okay. We all feeling good. You guys all feeling good. Ooh, well, welcome to the show, honey. Welcome. Now, we, of course, met years ago, but I wanted to have you on today's show just to highlight we've worked together over the summer at a very important event because I care. So that was a minority mental health awareness event that I hosted and she performed. And it was an amazing event, and you spoke a little bit on your, just a small amount on your mental health journey, on the things that you have been experiencing, and a lot of it you do through art. So that's why I wanted you to come and bless us with your beautiful voice and your beautiful art, but just to kind of tell that story in another manner. And like Ash was saying, like, it's different ways that people are going through and getting through. You know, just trying to get through. Some people have not reached out to therapists or have, and they're over that aspect. And it's just like, I have to do something. So the fact that you're able to use your art and use your talents and creativity to help you through is important. So that's all I wanted to have you here. So
the struggle comes in though when the art doesn't work. Because you end up in a space where you don't want to create. You don't want to sing. If you can dance, you don't want to dance. You don't want to write. You don't want to paint or play an instrument. Sometimes you just want to curl into a ball in a dark room and turn your phone off and not be accessible at all. You go into like a deep form of like isolation. And it's like, okay, now what else will work for me if everything that usually works for me is not working anymore or for this moment? You don't want to go see a therapist because it's okay. However, sometimes going to see a therapist because when you're it only becomes difficult when you're extremely intelligent. So going to see a therapist is like, okay, why am I seeing one? What are they going to do for me besides try to put me on medication? You want me to be on medicine for what? Who's to say? And I should, in that world, probably be on medication, but I've been managing extremely well. It's just like a lot of people don't understand, and I have to put it out there like this, when it comes to Black trauma, there are too many people who don't understand our traumas because they haven't experienced it. So how can you help me to heal from anything if you don't know what it's like to be Black, to have my struggles? How can you help me? You don't know what it's like to have those hidden secrets in Black families that we try to cover up. When you want me to go sit on Uncle Lap, that's probably a little suspect. I think it's important to talk about that too. You have these family members that you are consistently protecting in the Black families, and you keep letting your child, like, no, it's this book that I just saw called Consent. It's C for Consent. And it's a children's book. And it's a great book because it displays things where you can tell a child is able to tell an adult no. Like, no, not in a bad way, but if I don't want to give you a kiss right now, I don't want to give you a kiss. If I don't want to hug you because I don't want to be touched, I don't have to be. If I don't want to sit on your lap, I don't have to. Children will tell you what makes them uncomfortable, and oftentimes people ignore it and still make you do things that you don't want to do. And then you end up in circumstances where people have taken advantage of you down the line, and you don't realize why you keep ending up in a repetitive circumstance. Everything keeps coming around full circle. I'm not comfortable.
Right.
And most of I personally feel like the time when I finally am able to be blessed to have children, I don't want to be so strict where I don't want anyone around my child, but until they're able to verbalize things and like fully be able to express anything that they're doing and what they see or what's happening around them, then I wouldn't want them to go be around anyone.
Right. Okay. So I love that you brought up that and even it tied into what both these young ladies were mentioning as far as the family dynamic, and with the word that you used was protecting those family members. Like, you know, Ash mentioned, you know, the shunning of the crazy uncle or whatever, because oftentimes in the situations, especially what you're referencing in regards to like sexual abuse and molestation and things like that, those people are typically the crazy uncle, probably, you know, more often than not. Now sometimes he's got all this fucking sense and he just know better and he do it anyway.
But they make excuses for them, because it can be your brother too. It can be your cousin. It can be that sister of yours. It can be anybody, but it's always most of the time it's the person that you least expect.
And it's generational.
Yes.
And I actually found that out recently, getting into an argument with my mother because I didn't like my mom's disposition at the time, and I felt like she held grudges too long. So I snapped. I was like, when I told you that such and such was trying to have sex with me, you ain't do X, Y, Z, and I didn't hold no grudge. I'm taking care of you. I haven't put you in a nursing home. And I was crying. I was upset. And she sat on the bed and then came back and was like, Grandma ain't do the same my man do the same thing when I told her, and I was like, wow.
That's it.
And it's
our
just,
people, y'all.
Or they say they don't know how. Like I had a circumstance where I was told I didn't know what to do because it was too, the people involved, it was just too complex.
Or don't
But
know
my
who to
biggest
write
thing
to.
is I'd rather you, before you pick a side, I'd rather you just not choose anything. Like it makes it much more difficult because when you've been, like usually they say the one that's like you'll either do these various things, like you'll either become asexual, you'll either become promiscuous, or you'll go for the opposite sex. Or for men, sometimes they're super alpha. Like it's so many different signs and different things that people turn to after sexual abuse. And I'm trying to figure out, like, how do you not see the differences in people? Their favorite thing is, well, I asked you if you're okay, and you said you're okay, so I'm thinking that you're fine. Just because I have a smile on my face and I'm laughing, dig deeper. If you were genuinely interested in it. And then because you would notice, like, this is what I mean by the secrets. Family know, like you said, your mom is dated back from what happened deeper within the family. If you didn't keep so many secrets, it wouldn't be us trying to figure out why Uncle Bobby just touched you too. Like, it should have never been a circumstance in my family where we found out until I came out about something happening to me, my sister, cousin, and then a whole list of everybody started talking about it. And then we're talking about cousins, generations of cousins who are older than me, who were touched.
Now it's their children, and
then and the sad part about it, everybody knows is that certain person in the family that shouldn't be around people, that gives that look, and they just keep inviting them to all the cookouts, all the barbecues, and they just act like nothing ain't happening.
Now, Sierra, I want to ask you, as a professional on the couch, right? With these, because I know these are the type of situations that these kids are coming in with this type of trauma. How do you, with you working with the kids so closely but wanting to work with the family and it's not always that easy, what do you tell that child? You know, when they feel like nobody in my family is listening, or I don't really know where to go, who the hell I'm supposed to tell? Because I told my mom and then she, you know, because sometimes they tell, and then it's like either no, that didn't happen, or, you know, so what would your professional response be?
There's a lot. There's always different choices, right?
Yeah.
I've absolutely had those children come into my office. I've had those adults in my office. And I think something that's important to understand is, or to just, not even really to understand, but just to realize is that, yes, they're secrets, but sometimes people don't see them that way.
Okay.
You know, because we can't process it. You know, there's just things that people they just can't deal with. They just, so it's like, oh, that just
never happened. It's just like
repressed memory.
Yeah.
Just blocking out.
that, or like your situation where the person said, I didn't know what to do. And so I either did what was comfortable, I did what would keep us in the family, or at the time, if I'm young or homeless or I need this or I need that, I did what would get me by. And if that's putting that memory away and with the key, that's what got me by.
wow.
You know, and it's sad, but it's also something I think that is helpful. So that's one of the things I try to get my kids to understand, regardless of what trauma they've experienced. And I want to also make clear that trauma can be anything. It doesn't have to be a sexual trauma. It doesn't have to be a violent trauma. It could just be something that happened to you, and the way that you respond to it makes it a traumatic event. So
can you say that again to the camera? Seriously, because I think that, especially with that terminology, and even with the it's just like everything is trauma, or she's only had trauma because, you know, sexually abused. It's just like, no, like, I'm traumatized from this breakup, I'm traumatized from this car accident, I'm traumatized, like, this is traumatic, I'm devastated.
Dog dying. It can be anything. It can be anything, and I hate that people downplay other people traumas, like, well, I went through this.
Exactly.
I went through
that's
this.
what I was going to mention.
Life is your life.
Exactly. We talked about the SECUHT, and it's like, I understand that some people have had it hard. I've never been sexually abused, for example, you know, and it's just like, so do I feel less than because I can't identify with this? And it's just like, oh, they're just super fucked up, so clearly you're great. You don't have the right to say, oh, I have trauma. Oh, I've never been to Afghanistan, so I can't possibly have PTSD. well, no. If something traumatic happens to me and I'm on the other side of that, then I feel like I do. And I've experienced that personally, just with that. What is the term I'm looking for? Just trying to be humble and just grateful and appreciative, but then it does turn into suppressed feelings. Because it's just like, well, how dare I say, you know, anything about, you know, the little things that happen, and it's just like, then it fucks you up. Because, like, well, I still feel some type of way, so just because I didn't go through that, now I'm just pretending that my shit didn't exist.
It didn't matter. What I'll say is, emotions are valid.
Okay.
Whatever you feel is valid. Whether someone gets it, agrees with it, disagrees with it, you felt it, it's a real thing, it is valid.
Your emotions are valid, y'all, right?
So those are the kind of things that I try to teach my kids, and also to understand that your mom may not get it. And it's not that she doesn't want to, sometimes she doesn't. And it's also
sometimes she doesn't, she's just not interested.
You know, so I've had that as well. But oftentimes it is because their own things have not been processed, they have not been handled, they've not been addressed, and they don't even know. Because if we think about it, let's say I had a 12-year-old, mom is, 32? What is that, 20 years old having a child?
Child less than that.
The kid is not going to know.
Got a bigger gap than that.
The kid is not going to know what it is like to be 20 years old with a young baby in the situation until they are 20 years old, regardless of whether they have a child or not.
You're not
so
I'm
trying to give them that and give them that perspective if I can understand it. And so it helps me not to be mad at the parent. How could you let this happen to your child? How could you do this? How could you not respond this way?
I feel that.
And it helps the child, hopefully, to eventually understand. And I'll say another thing as well. I'm very honest with my parents. I don't do magic tricks. I don't fix your child.
Right.
There is no fixing because your child's not broken.
Exactly.
You know, like these are the conversations I'm having with parents. You know, there's not a magic pill. And also, I also make clear that therapists do not prescribe medicine.
Yeah.
So you can come see us. We can talk it out, you know. But yeah, those are just, I really just try to educate.
That's
called psychoeducation.
Clearly need more therapists like you. Not even more black therapists, but more therapists like you. I'm glad that you guys came
here. Creative in all forms. And we're at Talk to Me Tuesdays. We just did a live segment. So tune in on Tuesday, every Tuesday. You won't be disappointed.
We do have Lindo Yes to come and close us out with some words, some spoken word. He's going to come and give us some spoken word to bring us up. Now, I met this young fella, again, at the Because I Carry event back in July, and his words were so powerful, so I hope y'all feel it, because I know y'all will.
Depression is a bullet with no name, and I've been held at gunpoint. Joy stolen from my being, me left on the floor bleeding, feeling too weak, 14 days, feeling more weak than they are in a year. They judge me, innocent, but yet I feel guilty for the cause and effect that allow me still in this moment. Mannequin, man, I can't get myself out the position they put me in. Let me bring you in to the crime scene. The irony of sadness, looking trigger happy, aiming at me. Tragedy and depression is a bullet with no name and no trigger warning. Bam! Thank you.
I want to thank all my guests, Mr. Lindo Yes. Let them know where they can find you.
Lindo Yes on everything. Instagram, I take selfies and post poems. Trying to get my angles right and my poems better. Lindo Yes, Lindo, yes like I agree, except who I am. And yeah, that's it.
Period. Thank you for all my guests. Make sure that you follow all the guests. Make sure we all gonna be at the book signing for Miss Ashley Wood. She's ill out on the 6th.
October 6th.
October 6th. Make sure y'all check it out. I want to thank all of you guys. I love you all. Make sure you tune in.
What's it, what it is, what it do, what's up? This is Lindo. Yes, you already know, the Hoodlum Poet, and I'm at Talk to Me Tuesday. Yeah.